Preservation Commission at Chaska City Hall on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. Could we have the roll call?
Commissioner Bonin, Davies,
Here.
Coleman, Pleiss,
Here.
Brasius, Welvert,
Here.
and Vice Chair Mueller.
Here. Next is our adopting of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll motion to adopt the agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries to adopt the agenda. Next item, number 4, is visitor presentation. There are no visitors here. Is anyone online? Moving on to approve the previous meeting minutes. That would be the minutes for June 4th. Is there a motion?
I will move to approve the minutes.
Thanks. A second.
I gave like 2 seconds.
I'll second it.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries to approve the minutes from June 4th. Our next item is consent items. I don't think we have anything. Next would be action items. None.
Action items.
Then under discussion items, Liz has a review of the past year.
Yep, I have a quick presentation just to show what we worked on for the last year, which is weird to say that 2024 is almost coming to an end here, but it's always fun to look back on what we worked on, what we approved, what we discussed, all those things. So this is just a year in review of 2024. So we had 4 different site alteration permits approved by yourselves, the HPC. The first one that came in was in February for 121 Hickory Street North, which is a local and nationally designated building. I'll go into a little bit more detail on some following slides. And then in April of this year, we reviewed 2 different site alteration permits, one for the Idle House, which is located in the Jonathan neighborhood, and then a second site alteration permit for 210 Chestnut Street, which is a commercial building here in downtown. And then in June, we reviewed and approved the site alteration permit for the alterations at City Square. And then in July was the last time we got together. There was a joint work session with the city council to review the city's work on the heritage kiosks for downtown. And I'll show some details on that a little bit later too. 121 Hickory Street, the site alteration permit that was reviewed for this property included the demolition of the wooden shed addition on the south side of the building, alterations of the north porch addition on the building, and then some facelift things to the overall building. But it basically was maintaining what was currently out there. Here's an updated image of the property. So they have been actively working on the property. I think most of their work is on the inside at this moment in time, but as you can see, they've done a repaint job, new windows, some freshening up of the cornice details and gable details on the front and around the sides. And then you can also see the improvements done to the north addition porch. So they re-sided, replaced the windows and the door on that part of the building. So it looks a lot better than where it started. And I think they'll be working on it for a few more months here to get it up and ready. The Idle House, you also approved a site alteration permit there. So this home is located in Jonathan. It was recently split off from the Jonathan ownership, so it is privately owned by a homeowner here in Chaska who is now actively working on remodeling this home. The site alteration permit really included see here, some restoration work for the back or the rear porch on the back side of the building. There's an outline of that where one stood. And then also for a new detached garage, because the property does not have a garage on it. So they are still actively working on that property. And that is still moving forward. And then also a site alteration permit for 210 Chestnut Street here in downtown Chaska. This was for some alterations to the back side of the building that faces the Paseo that was recently constructed this summer and fall. Their proposal included shaving off a portion of kind of that concrete block addition on the back side of the building to be replaced with an outdoor patio. The renderings are shown on the right image here. And if you have visited the site, they have gone through removing the back side of the building. I think they're still actively working on the patio improvements, but I would imagine that would be done by next year, hopefully. And then a site alteration permit for City Square, and this really centered around some alterations to the gazebo out there to make it ADA accessible, and also to make the walkways within the square ADA accessible as well, replacing them with concrete walks and incorporating a ramp around the gazebo structure. I believe that work is still has yet to be started. It does require multi-jurisdictional review. So it not only does the city review and approve these types of permits, but the work being that there are burial mounds within the square, MIAC does have to have review and approval of the work being done out there, which is the Indian Affairs Agency that reviews any work within that encompasses burial mounds. And then also in July, we did have a joint work session to go over the updates the city has been working on with downtown streetscape, but more specifically, we gave an update to our heritage kiosks in downtown. This map shows the location of where several kiosks will be placed within downtown Chaska. And these are basically kiosks that will highlight different topics that are of significance within the history of Chaska. So there are 7 total kiosks that will be placed around the downtown area, ranging from Chestnut Street down to the river's edge and to Athletic Park to highlight some cool stories in history of the city of Chaska. All of these kiosks will either be a 4-panel kiosk or a 2-panel kiosk. Each of them will have a map of Chaska, mainly downtown Chaska, which is this map here. And it really emulates, if you're familiar with our downtown walking tour map, it really took from that and then got enhanced in a couple areas to highlight some of the trails that are nearby. It's meant to be a multifaceted wayfinding map for people to look at when they're in front of those kiosks to see where historic local and nationally designated resources are within the downtown area, which again is consistent with what you see on our walking tour map. And then also highlighting those major trails within the area. Just a couple of the boards or the panels that are going to be installed. Here's a few of them that will be installed in downtown. So one of the topics being covered is looking at some of the homegrown ingredients that were based out of Chaska and had facilities or factories within Chaska. So ranging from the story on the mill building, as well as a previous building that used to be erected within the city, was the canning factory. There is a brief history of beer being brewed here, as well as some other products that were very notable of Chaska, including sugar, Gedney pickle, when they were considered to be a part of Chaska at one time, and other items. Another panel highlights where Chaska brick has been used in other buildings within Minnesota, so not just within Chaska itself. It's really cool to see that Chaska brick was a pretty popular material during its production time, and so a lot of very notable buildings within Minnesota did utilize Chaska brick, such as the Grain Belt Brewery in Minneapolis, the tunnel areas at the state capitol, the Lumber Exchange Building, which is in downtown Minneapolis, the Crown Roller Mill Building, which is also in downtown Minneapolis by the Guthrie Theater, International Market Square, which is just outside of downtown Minneapolis, and then the Orpheum Theater. And then there are a list of other locations that have used Chaska brick. It's just another panel that has been highlighted. Other topics covered are the floods that have, or natural disasters that have created a huge mark on the history of Chaska, as well as the evolution of Highway 41, being that this project, kind of the downtown streetscape project, really came out of the looking at and designing the new Highway 41 layout. We really wanted to make sure that was highlighted as a panel to show how that street, which is kind of the main thoroughfare through downtown Chaska, has evolved over the years. So just wanted to give you a little taste of some of the panels going up. And we can certainly go over kind of the final designs in a later meeting too. But the goal is hopefully to get these panels installed yet this year. If the freezing temps let up, installation is kind of successful on the temps being appropriate enough for these panels to be cured to the kiosks themselves adequately. So we're hoping for this year because they are actively under production right now. However, worst case scenario is they would be installed by next spring, just to make sure that they adhere to their structure successfully. Otherwise, that's kind of what we've been working on for the last year. I do also want to note that we currently have 4 openings on the HPC, two of the members here are resigning from the commission, Steve Mueller and Greg Davies. Definitely want to iterate my gratefulness for both of your terms with the city and with the HPC. You guys have both been huge parts to this commission and making sure that the work that we do here is done in the best way possible with the best people involved. So I appreciate both of you serving for the time that you both have. Greg, I know you've served for 3 full terms, which is almost 9 years of service. And then Steve, you've served 2 terms in this last go around, but I know you've served more years beyond that, which I forget.
3 terms.
Three beyond that.
First time, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, an amazing tenure here. So just want to showcase my gratitude to you both. Thank you so much for serving. If you know of anyone who would be a great fit for the HPC and getting involved in city commissions, really hope that gets spread out to the right people so that we can get people on board. I know too, Tom and and are up for reappointment, and we're hoping that they reapply. But at this time, we're stating that there's 4 openings on the HPC. Know anyone?
Thanks for your leadership too. It's
Yeah,
been a pleasant experience.
good, good. No, I've really enjoyed working with you both, and
I did have a couple of questions. What did they decide for the material on those plaques?
that's a good question. I don't know the exact material, to be honest. There's gonna be kind of a mix of bronze plaques, being installed in, I want to say it's a galvanized steel as the structure based. And then the layer of the panels, I don't know the exact material on that, but weather resistant and sun exposure resistant is what.
So the presentation was full color. It's not going to be full color.
It will be full color.
Oh,
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, it'll have kind of the old tones to it that you see in those images or examples that I pulled up there. Those are basically final designs in terms
They'll
of
still
color.
have the QR codes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And that'll be a work in progress, trying to get those web pages filled with the information that we want people to continue reading about. That may be kind of another couple years before those pages get fully developed. But there'll at least be a place for them. So if people do scan it, it will bring them to a site, but they'll be kind of under construction for the next however many years.
One other question, the Idle House, is it actually under construction?
It is. Yep. They have been, I visited the house back in the summer this year and it was fully gutted, or close to fully gutted. So I know they've been actively working on it. I don't know how far along they are at this point in time, but working on it.
Be interested to see that when it's done.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I am too. I think 2024 has been a great year to see properties that have been kind of abandoned, for lack of a better word, over the last few years to finally have people putting care and attention to them and bringing them back to use. So that
Yeah,
one
Idle House
included.
is more like 20 years.
Yep.
That's a long one.
That one and yeah, Hickory Street. I don't even know how many years it's been vacant, but it's definitely over 10 years. So exciting stuff.
Any other comments or questions?
I just have one on the openings. Is that on the city website? In case I
It-
want to, okay.
Yeah.
Shoot some
You-
people a link.
If you look up job openings on our website, it'll bring you to all the job openings, which includes city commissions that have openings right now. And then it's a pretty easy step-by-step process on how to apply for that.
If that's all we've got, is there a motion to adjourn? So,
I will second that.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, we're adjourned.